This is the Inferno Podcast, the official podcast of UAB Athletics. Blazer fans, this is the place each week to get an inside look into UAB Athletics. This episode of the Inferno Podcast is brought to you by the Alabama Department of Public Health and Pearl River Resort. Well, Happy New Year. Welcome into 2025. It's the Inferno Podcast. Landrum Roberts, I'm your host. Thanks for joining us. Well, as we kick off 2025, today's rundown, Mark Ingram, UAB Athletics Director, will talk about the weekly events and what we can look forward to on the South Side and beyond coming up this week. Also joining us on today's show, we have UAB softball coach Taylor Smartt. Going to sit in. A lot of exciting things happening for the Blazers as we await the spring season. One of her standout players is also going to be joining us, and a part of that will be our lightning round, a very popular segment here on the Inferno. As we can always remind you, the Inferno, it can be consumed on a variety of different levels, but to watch us, you can join us on YouTube, and you can find it there at Inferno Podcast UAB. It's episode 20. It's the Inferno, and it comes your way next.
As UAB athletes, there's nothing we like more than the reward of pride.
Around here, we say we win as one.
One.
And to keep cheering for the green and gold.
There's one thing we need from you.
Ask your doctor about an RSV vaccine.
And help protect everyone.
Our littlest Blazers and our most seasoned fans are most at risk from RSV.
Ask about your RSV vaccine today.
So we can all stay in the game.
And win as one.
Today's weekly update is brought to you by the Alabama Department of Public Health. To help protect all UAB fans, ask your doctor about your RSV vaccine today so we can all win as one. Welcome back into the Inferno Podcast. Landrum Roberts, this is our weekly update, and joining us, UAB Athletics Director Mark Ingram. First of all, Mr. AD, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Yeah, was it a fun ball drop for you?
Oh, man, I think, if we get to about 10 o'clock, that's midnight. We're just calling it, It's midnight somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean when we go to bed. Yeah. We always, after the Christmas holiday, we always take a trip, our family, and we always go to the same place, which is beautiful, exotic Cincinnati, Ohio, because that's where my wife is from. And so we go see her family. Yeah, warm,
Yes.
balmy Cincinnati.
That's exactly what I think about when I think about Cincinnati, right?
Gray skies and rain almost every single trip.
Skyline
man.
Chili, did you have any when you were
Now,
there?
that is the highlight. I mean, listen, when you drive 8 hours with a car full of kids and a dog.
And presents.
And traffic and crankiness and rain for chili, that tells you what the trip is like if the highlight of the trip is spaghetti noodles with chili on it.
See, the spaghetti noodles with chili. And
Which
I love
I do
that.
love.
I
I love
love it. I'll top it with some cheese. I'll throw in some sour cream if I'm feeling exotic. But it's got that hint of cinnamon in it. And I like that, whatever the people in Cincinnati do.
I'll tell you what I've heard it is that chocolate is the secret ingredient.
I've heard that too. I had a professor in college said that she would add dark chocolate to her chili.
And that somehow when heated up, it creates that cinnamon spice kind of flavor.
Okay.
Who knows?
It sounds delicious.
For the good people of Cincinnati, I do love your chili.
This is the time of year. I could use some really
space heater in
chili.
here, maybe a little fire. If we
I've
could
been
warm
eating a
that
lot
up.
of soup here.
Molly, if you could get us a fire, that'd be nice.
That would be nice. Thank you, Molly. If you could get on that. All right. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to congratulate you because you were very, very festive. I showed up and I watched the Blazers knock off Alcorn State at Bartow that Sunday around the Christmas break. Yeah. And I look up and you're sitting there with your lovely wife and you've got on an ugly Christmas sweater.
I did. Yeah, it was tacky sweater night at the game.
Or tacky sweater.
Or whatever you call it.
It was beautiful.
The holiday sweater. I have two. I have one. It's more like a sweatshirt that I got at Buc-ee's, which is fun. But what you saw me in is a vest. I got this vest at Kmart in the women's section like 15 years ago.
Yeah, because there's no more Kmarts, are there?
No, I don't know. But that's where I got it. And and I usually will wear it with a green or red, like checkered, dress shirt underneath because it really makes it super ugly when you do that.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't match and Yeah, but I had asked some staff. They reminded me, it's tacky sweater night tomorrow night at the game, and I was like, yeah, and they were like, you're doing it right, and I'm like, no, probably not. And I was like, are you? And then but people started saying, well, yeah, man, we all got to. I was like, all right, well, solidarity, and I think me and Brad Hardikoff are the only staff members that actually did it, but.
I can almost confirm that because I saw a lot of staff members, and I'm pretty sure that you two were the only ones. But I pointed
His
it out.
His is a lady sweater,
wife,
too. Well, I think Brad's has shoulder pads in it. No, really, which is fun.
Oh,
yeah,
I've got one, and I bought one for our show that we do on Jocks 94.5 because we had some listeners that were going to have a contest, and we had our kind of get together at the end of the year, and it's the Bob Ross, and this was the only one that I could find at a local retail store that you would be familiar with, but they don't advertise with us yet. And it was Bob Ross, and it was have a happy little Christmas,
happy little trees.
But it's got Bob Ross, and it's got like a character of him, and it's got the fuzzy beard and the afro.
That's good.
And it lights up, and you've got the battery power that lights up. You can go with the twinkling lights, the solid lights, or the there's a different. I don't know.
It's become kind of a thing, and you can buy them. Like these intentionally tacky sweaters now, but I really like the ones that are almost like homemade.
Yeah.
And like this vest, not to brag about this vest, but the funny thing about the vest to me is that it was before that was a thing. So like this was actually made for people that they would be excited about, and it's got glittery stuff all over it, and Christmas trees, and the balls that hang on the tree. It's just really ridiculous. And but there was somebody. We did a contest, and I can't remember who won the contest at the game, but there was a guy who had what I would tell you, it was like a hooded sweatshirt, and the top of the hood was like the top of a Christmas tree. It was triangular shaped, and like the arms, if you did the arms out, he looked like a tree. Man, like I love that stuff.
There were some good contestants there for the contest.
It was funny.
I'll say that. All right, speaking of UAB basketball, let's talk about the women's side first.
Are we talking about basketball, or are we talking about tacky sweaters?
Well, we're going to transition. This is the segue,
Mark.
Speaking of basketball, UAB women, after having a pretty successful non-conference campaign, has gotten off to a little bit of a shaky start in conference play, falling unfortunately this past weekend to Wichita State, 82-70. But plenty of time left, and we know that Coach Norton and this UAB women's team, they got to go on. They have FAU coming up this weekend there in Boca.
Yeah, and last year, and I anticipate this year being similar. Last year, the top half of the conference, which we were in, the margin between like the top 7 teams was just razor thin. It was like a half game separating each of those top teams. And I remember, in fact, Wichita, we lost the very last game of the season to Wichita. Had we beaten them, we were going to finish like 3rd, and losing to them, we were 7th, and for the one game, and so I anticipate that being similar this year. So we off to a slow start, but we're more athletic, we're better inside, and we'll come around.
All right, so the UAB women, once again, they're on the road. They're at FAU coming up this weekend in Boca with a tip-off at 1 o'clock. Meanwhile, the UAB men, they had a tough opener in a game that they led by double digits there. I know in Denton, Texas versus North Texas. And North Texas, unfortunately, they had the ball at the end. They were able to knock down the shot, and they win by 3. But you want to talk about a bounce-back game, coming back, and you blow the doors off of a Tulsa team this past weekend at Bartow Arena this past Saturday, and winning that game by, 83-51? So that's 32 points, if my math's correct. But Alejandro Vasquez, wow, what a game he had.
Yeah, and he started – listen, it's just about making shots. If you look at all the games that we've lost, we should have probably won all of them. We should probably be – undefeated. That's a compliment, by the way. Don't tell Coach Kennedy that I mean that, and I tell him, but it's a positive statement. With a minute to go, we could have won every single game that we've not won, and we've let a few leads like that one at North Texas slip through. North Texas took a different approach in the second half. They started taking the ball to the rim. They created a lot of fouls. They really out free throwed us in the second half was the main thing. I want to tell you it was like 17-4 or something like that.
It was crazy, the discrepancy.
And that's not a comment about officiating. It's about the way the game changed. And but in the games that we've lost, I remember I believe it was Middle Tennessee, and I could be wrong there, but one of the games we lost, we were only 59% from the free throw line. And you could have a horrible night and be at 65%, and we win that game. And Vermont, we were 0 for 10 from the three-point line. You make one, and we probably win. Two, you definitely win. And that's how close we are to being undefeated, frankly. And so I got great hope for our men's team. They finally started, to your point, against Tulsa, finally started making some shots. And so this is about building confidence as much as anything. I was really happy to see Vasquez make some shots. He's one of the guys we need to count on to do that. Butta Johnson's another one we got to get going. He's been in a bit of a slump to start the season, but he's a great shooter. And Andy has said, I think here in this show, he certainly said it in his post-game press conference, that a lot of times when guys aren't making shots is because they don't work hard enough. And he's like, that's not the case. He goes, I'm just telling you. He says, I can see our practice gym from my window. They're in there getting shots. They're practicing. They're working hard in their own time, And it's like a golfer. You got to swing the club. And you want to be a great shooter, you got to shoot the ball. And they're out there working at it. So once they start to see it go through the rim a couple of times, I think you're going to see a massive shift in the way that we play. And we still play that up-tempo, high-intensity defense, which is just a ton of fun to watch. And so we've got some more length. Chris Coleman is really playing great. You talk about a guy that's an incredible story, not to get into, but and I think a lot of people know that story about him working at Walmart and growing 7 inches or whatever, and now he plays for the Blazers, and he's a great player. But he made a massive improvement from last year to this year, and so excited to see those guys turn around and elevate their game. Axel Lindeborg is basically averaging a double-double, so they're fun to watch.
They are. They're also in Boca Raton. They're coming up this weekend. They'll take on FAU on Sunday, and the tip-off there at 4 o'clock. By the way, if you've not been keeping up with FAU or things that happen with the coaching carousel in the offseason, Coach May is no longer there in Boca. He is now heading up the program there in Ann Arbor at the University of Michigan. Yeah. So that is a different-looking Owl team, but nonetheless, it's still a conference game. Going on the road is always tough, and that's a tough place to play. And I know that Andy will have the team ready to go.
Yeah, and you know what they do? They go to Boca, and then they go to Tampa. So they go play Florida Atlantic, then South Florida. And as I'm saying that out loud, why are we not with them?
That's the question that you ask yourself.
Did we not take that trip? The women's team is doing the same thing. Yeah. They're back-to-back nights. They go Boca, Tampa. That's a miss on our part.
And we could have got down there earlier because there's some other stuff going on in Miami.
Just to see what's happening.
Yeah. Go get a Cuban sandwich.
Support the team.
Enjoy some culture. Maybe look at some art.
Yeah. Yeah, we should have done that.
We could have gone down to Key West.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Hemingway's house? All the cats?
Are there a lot of cats?
Oh, my goodness gracious. Are there a lot of cats? Oh, they're everywhere.
Didn't know about the cats.
No, when you're walking through the home, you have to be careful because all the cats have been able to stay there at the residence. And you will step on a cat. You will find a random cat that you think is a pillow that all of a sudden starts to move. It's a little bit different. If you're not a cat person, I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah,
Hemingway's
that's
house.
not my spot. And I'm not a cat person. I'm allergic to cats.
Okay.
I am. Yeah, terribly allergic to cats. But anyway, yeah, Boca, Tampa for both teams starting this weekend.
All right. Also coming up this weekend, UAB women's track and field gets going. We saw them in the Icebreaker, but they're going to be at the Crossplex 9:30 on Saturday, Mark, and that's going to be a whole lot of fun as it is the Blazer Invite.
Yeah, if you have not been to the Birmingham Crossplex, and I think there's probably, unfortunately, a lot of people in our area that have not, it is a world-class facility. I mean, literally a world-class facility. I think there's 5 in the country like it that has these hydraulic banked turns in the end. Your outdoor track is 400 meters. The indoor track is half that distance. So for the mile outdoors, you run 4 laps. Indoors, you run 8 laps. And so they have these hydraulic banked turns in the end. And it's one of, I think there's only 5 others in the country that are like that. Like, it's super high quality, which is, they've hosted the NCAA championship finals, and they've had a number of conference championships, SEC, the American Conference, Conference USA. We used to host that one. So it's a great venue if you haven't been out there. And then, of course, they have a pool, too, which we will not be using. But
I've called a swimming meet there, a conference swimming.
Yeah, my daughter used to
championship.
swim there all the time, and it's a fantastic facility. Parking is easy; it's great. If you really enjoy high level competition, you like track, you like watching it in the Olympics. It's a ton of fun.
And finally, coming up this weekend in Spartanburg, South Carolina, you have UAB rifle.
Here we go,
aiming to get off to a great start in 2025.
Lori Goodwin, she's going to have them ready.
When's the last
Ready,
time you
aim,
fired
shoot.
a rifle?
One of our donors took me shooting sporting clays about 2 years ago, and as I was preparing to leave, I was putting on. I'm not a hunter, and I don't have any true hunting gear, but I was trying to wear the closest thing that I thought hunters wear, and I walk into the kitchen, and my youngest daughter, she says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm going hunting," and she said, "For Easter eggs or treasure?" And I said, "Sporting clays." And so I ended up having to take, they all started whining. I ended up having to take my entire family. And this incredibly patient guy stood out and taught us how to shoot sporting clays.
Yeah.
It was actually a ton of fun. I'd never done it before. I enjoyed it. I was horrible at it, but it made a lot of noise and shots and stuff. I mean, if I tried to hit 30 targets, I maybe hit 2.
I was imagining you having that conversation with your daughter and going, "Hey, go into Dad's
Easter eggs
bedroom
and treasure.
Go get me my ugly Christmas sweater.
Yeah, I put that on top.
I'm going to shoot clays."
I got some brown stuff on, a lot of tan.
That is this week in UAB Athletics. We continue. It's the Inferno Podcast, episode 20. Welcome back into the Inferno Podcast. Landrum Roberts, I'm your host. Continue to be joined by UAB Athletics Director Mark Ingram and Taylor Smartt, head softball coach at UAB. First of all, Coach, officially welcome to the South Side. I know you've been here for a minute, but welcome.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
All right, so take the UAB Blazer fans that don't know your background. You come from a coaching family background, might as well have been a coach on the field in your playing career, but you're from Troy, Alabama. You played your softball there. Take us through just your growth as not only a player, but and finding out that you wanted to be a coach. I guess it wasn't hard after watching your dad. Give us some bio on Coach Taylor Smartt.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, my dad was like, "Don't be a coach." He's like, "There's no money in it," and I'm like, "Okay, well, of course I wanted to coach." My little brother's
right.
He was right. Yeah, you're not wrong. But my little brother's a coach too, so we pretty much were destined to coach. So I played at Troy, and then I was really fortunate. Beth Mullins gave me a start, and who is actually an alum of UAB, and I was there for 8 years, and then went to FAU for the last 2, and then really fortunate to be here and be a Blazer.
So when did you know? Did you know early on in following your dad and his career?
So during my time, I think it was like after my freshman season at Troy, I coached a travel ball team, and I actually got to work Alabama softball camp, and I just realized I loved working with people, and I like people, and then I love softball, so it was just an avenue that I wanted to go down, and I was just obviously very passionate about it, so it just kind of came easy. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to get involved somehow. And I did math as my minor just in case I didn't make it in the college. I could always go be a math teacher.
Oh, that
and
is
coach.
awful.
I love math. 2 + 2 always equals 4.
It really does.
So you can check. So 4 - 2 is always going to equal 2.
Well, but that's fine. What are we talking? That kind of math, or are we talking algebra 2, and all that crazy stuff with little numbers and parentheses?
The class I didn't like was Cal 2. Cal 1 and Cal 3 were
Trigonometry.
easy.
How you feel about trigonometry?
I like that.
I never got to either one of those.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good at math.
No.
Not like that.
Yeah.
No, I was more on the history side and the English side.
no.
Math, that sucks.
No, I believe in the English part of that. You write something, and what you think you see, someone else can't see, or how you depict, what you depict of it. No. Math always equals.
You know what? It's crazy, and just the evolution of softball. So I grew up, and my sister was a really good softball player, and she had offers to go to some smaller schools.
Yeah.
But back then, softball programs weren't what they are
Correct.
now, not only in the American Athletic Conference, but in the SEC.
Correct.
And what we've had. And it's really been, I would say, the past 3 decades of just really the growth. I know it was there on the West Coast, but I'm talking about being here. Now, the travel ball was there, and I consumed a lot of travel ball with your traveling teams and a lot of early starts. And, oh, my gosh, they're going to play again.
Yeah,
they're going to play again.
8 a.m. starts.
Yeah, a ton of that. But it seems I can remember when there was the announcement that certain schools, they were going to be going from club to officially being recognized. It's just been amazing, the advancement of softball, where it is now and how it's consumed on a national level, especially in Oklahoma City every spring.
Yeah, I think that I'd say probably the last 15 years, it's really taken off in the South. For a while, like the West Coast was definitely way more ahead than the East Coast and the South, but the Southeast has definitely picked up. I mean, I would say that Alabama, Florida, Georgia has it's like a hotbed. It's got a lot of talent here, and for a while it was only like talked about on the West Coast.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely grown a lot. I think that also like the SEC's taken off, which has helped obviously in the Southeast part.
So when you're going out and you're recruiting and you're watching, and we're gonna have one of your players that's going to be joining us. I know you're excited about her and already what she's doing in her young career. But are you watching a lot of these travel ball teams? What is the current climate right now? Because you have your school teams, you have your competitive during the season, but you also have your travel ball. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, you're recruiting all year round. You're always recruiting, and you're never closed or not recruiting. So pretty much like main times that we can recruit would be the summer, and then there's 6 weekends in the fall that we can be off campus on Saturdays and Sundays. And so during those times, like trying to, make sure that our staff is kind of going out and getting all the main tournaments. And then in the summer, that's kind of when we are all off campus recruiting. And then we'll have our camps here and there to bring them on. But you're out there recruiting the whole entire time.
The biggest difference, and so I'll go all over the place on this, and this is what we do on this podcast. Okay. But one of the biggest differences I see, and I think it's a trend that should pick up with baseball, and we'll talk to Coach Dunn about it. But softball coaches, you don't wear the uniform. Yeah. You're not wearing the pants. You're not wearing the shirt. No, you're comfortable. You might have your visor on. I don't know what you prefer to wear.
Yeah, I'd wear a hat.
You're going to go hat?
Start a trend. Here's your opportunity to really be a leader. Start wearing a uniform.
Go full uni.
I would wear a uni in a heartbeat.
Well, would you really?
Who's stopping you?
I guess you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
The only thing between you and that uniform is air and opportunity.
I mean, the new uniforms have come in. I had to try on a pair of pants the other day. I mean, I can make it. I could rock it. There's no doubt.
Are you gonna go? You're gonna go.
So
are you gonna go like the pajamas, like the long pants, or down to the cleats? Or
no,
are you going
I would
to
go the knee. Yeah.
You're going to go knee?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Go high stirrups.
High stirrups.
Well, you're a gamer at that point,
no
right?
doubt. Yeah. Winners win, baby. Winners win.
All right.
Please do this.
So get us ready. So now you're taking over this program, and you've been a part of being a co-interim head coach. You've been around here. This is nothing new to you, but why UAB? This opportunity. What excited you about coming here?
Well, whenever I got the call, obviously I was really excited.
Besides the leadership.
Yeah, no doubt. But when I got the call, I was obviously really excited. It was closer to home and everything. But I told them this too, like things don't just keep coming around over and over. And I got offered to play here, and I said no. And then AJ offered me to be an assistant, and I said no. So I'm like, okay, it's coming around again. Okay, things don't just happen. And so when I came here, and then I had on my interview, I just kept meeting with people that I was like, okay, the answer is yes. Like all these people keep checking boxes of things that I'd had reasons I would want to go places or somewhere that I'd want to go. And so I was like, the answer is yes. Like this is definitely where I want to be. I want to be a part of all the things there, the family, be a Blazer, and then obviously the team. And so I was super excited about that.
Yeah, sometimes, look, and I learned it through the course of my life. The good Lord, he'll knock. And sometimes you're fortunate enough to get a second knock. Now you get that third knock,
you're like,
maybe he's telling you
now.
this is exactly where I want you to be.
Exactly.
Hey, look, man, we wanted to hire anybody but her. We were trying to hire all kinds of people. But when she visited, she
said, "I'm not leaving."
Well, basically, she said, "I'm not leaving," and but she forced us to love her. And
I told them I was coming the first day. They were like, "When you want to come?" I was like, "I'm coming the first day. I'm
going
to be the first one."
Yeah, and she did an outstanding job convincing us, and it didn't take a lot of convincing.
Okay, so tell us your leadership. There's different leadership styles. What is your leadership style with your players? I'm guessing you seem like a player's coach, but how do you lead?
Definitely more of a servant leader. Just pretty much just I like to, love them and show them what we can do and all the things, but like through that, like the tough love, trying to get them to buy into the things that obviously that like I live out, but also like by serving them and trying to like show them the ways, but also like talking and having tough conversations. But I think the one thing that like is like I'm genuinely myself, and so like they truly know what they're gonna get. And then just honestly, a lot of that just the tough conversations, but also knowing that it's because I love them that we're gonna do this. We're gonna do hard things. Like we're going to do hard things. And I think that if anything this fall, they learned they can do hard things.
Is that a part of how your dad led his teams, or is that just
like
more of your personality?
Yeah, I think some of that's just seeing that. I mean, definitely like just realizing that like just I like to like sit back and observe, and so I've kind of been someone that like has just watched a lot of things, and then I definitely insert myself. But I do like to just kind of people watch a little bit. But like nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. That's something that I've always been told, and I wholeheartedly believe that to my core. And so, like, it's tough to get people to do things you want if they don't know that you truly care about them. It's just like someone just coming in here and telling me what to do for no reason in a selfish motive. Yeah. But they know that, like, you truly care, and it's because you care about them as well. They're more likely to, like, want to be a part and want to buy into whatever it is and want to know that this is a common goal and not just for, like, selfish reasons.
So you look over your roster, and I'm sure that was probably the next thing after telling Mark, I'm not leaving. Give me the roster. Who are these? Some of these players that? Yeah, okay. Well, of course you did.
I think a lot of it was also like a lot of the kids on the roster I'd already knew or had previous like out recruiting. I knew a lot of them. Like Bella Wiggins is one that I knew from whenever we were recruiting at Troy. Dorsett as well. I did know her as well. But the older players were some that when I was at Troy, we either offered or tried to get on campus or did not. So a lot of them I knew who they were. Obviously, we played them last year as well in the last couple of years. So every year I was at Troy, we played them. And then obviously at FAU we played. So I obviously knew the roster because of scouting. But I also knew it because of the recruiting aspect before I left the state of Alabama. And so I think like looking into it, I knew there was potential, I knew there was opportunity, and I knew that we could make what we had better and be able to compete right away. And then we'd obviously just continue to recruit in and get players and make us more and more competitive.
I was looking at some of your schedule, and you're going to play some very good programs from within this state and around the Southeast. Just kind of give us a quick glance, maybe a 30,000-foot view of the schedule and some of the teams you're going to be featuring, not only the non-conference, but what we can expect in American play.
Yeah, I mean, I think we obviously start off at South Alabama. We have some good quality opponents there. I mean, South Alabama is a regional team that we played last year when I was obviously at FAU. And then we have Murray State, Northwestern State, and UIC in that tournament. Then we come home, we play at Sanford and
that's fine.
I don't really know. Indiana State, I think.
UABsports.com.
Yeah, sorry. Indiana State. We played them twice. A team dropped out, so it was kind of an unfortunate thing, so we got to do that. And then we play at our place. We have 4 quality opponents. Sanford does come back. And then we go to Alabama, and we'll play at a pretty, obviously a good Alabama team. And then we'll go into conference play. And I think the one thing is, like, we're going to be gritty. We're going to be competitive. And at the end of the day, we're going to be fighters, and we're going to fight, and we're going to be the one that throws the last punch. And that's the one thing we keep talking about with our team is, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how things start. It's just how we finish. And we're going to fight, and our goal is to win the late innings, which the late innings are the 5th, 6th, and 7th. And we're going to really, know that our goal obviously is to win 7 innings. But at the end of the day, we are going to win the late innings consistently. And the teams that win the late innings can come back and fight until the end. And that's when we're going to be our best.
Are you going to announce or make it a surprise when you break out in the full uniform? It's just like that one game, and then all of a sudden people come for warm-ups. You're fine. You're wearing in your normal gear, and then all of a sudden you go and you make a quick wardrobe change. You come out. You want to talk about firing up your team?
Oh, they would get – they would be like, whoa.
Ooh. You got to be at every game because you don't know which one it'll be.
I like to keep people on their toes now, so you just never know.
Softball is such a fun sport to consume, though, and it's reflected in the ratings that we get from the Women's College World Series and the conference championships that are broadcast, and now they're broadcast on a national level, and it's the pace. It's the quick. I mean, games. You don't have the downtime that you have. I will say this. Baseball players are very quirky. Softball players, extremely quirky.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Is that the downtime? Are we getting bored in the dugout? I mean, we're doing all kinds of things in the dugout.
I think a lot of it's just trying to, like, keep people engaged and keep the dugout, like, still bought into everything when you aren't playing. And I think that's the one thing is, like, in baseball, a lot of times they're playing to go play pro and all these things. So sometimes they have a little more selfish reasons for some things, is where, like, a lot of softball is everyone's in this together and, like, they're playing for the university that they're at.
Yeah.
And so, like, when even though they're maybe not one of the 9 on the field in the dugout, they're finding ways to rally behind their teammates and still continue to, like, encourage them. And it truly is, we're all in this together. So, like, they'll come up with the crazy things in the dugout and, like, trying to keep everyone hyped because they know that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
It's not just about the 9 that are actually on the field playing. We're all in this together. What are we going to do? How are we all going to stay rallied together to be great for one another?
Well, and you got to have a core of players. We're going to be talking coming up next with one of the players that you're going to spotlight. She had an outstanding freshman campaign. We're going to get a chance to see her in her sophomore campaign, and she's a local Metro Birmingham product as well. We will have our student athlete spotlight of the week. That comes your way next. It's the Inferno Podcast. Welcome back into the Inferno Podcast. Landrum, Mark Ingram, Coach Taylor Smartt, UAB softball, and one of the standout players we're looking forward to a sophomore campaign. She's from Hewitt-Trussville High School right here in Metro Birmingham. Is Hannah Dorsett. Hannah, welcome into the Inferno. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good.
Did you have a great end to 2024 and bringing in 2025?
I did. I'm excited for this year.
You should be excited. You batted .317. You had a .960 fielding percentage. You're a utility player, which means you can pretty much do everything. But let's go back to your background.
A decent year.
Yeah, it was all right, right? But let's go back to your background and playing at a very successful state championship program at Hewitt-Trussville. And not only did you star on the softball field, but you were part of a championship flag football team, which I had no idea that you actually spiked the ball, which that shows that you got a little spunk.
I did not spike it. Spike it's a little crazy. But no, so clearly Trussville being a 7A, it's very competitive. And I think school ball's grown a lot over the past few years. And I got to give all credit to my school ball coaching staff because our practices are not easy. It's not a normal school ball. We are out there 5 hours every day, morning workouts every single morning, one of those things. So we didn't have it easy, and I think the state championship showed how much hard work we did put in for that. And then that's softball-wise. Flag football-wise, the first year it was just kind of like a fun thing. We didn't know how serious it would be, and then, boy, it got serious, that's for sure.
Yeah. What was your position in flag?
I was a receiver.
Yeah, makes sense.
Athlete.
Fast.
Athlete, yeah.
Athlete.
Yeah. You get your athletes out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the grind that is travel ball, and I was telling Coach Smartt, my older sister, she was a really good softball player, and I would get lugged around to all of these tournaments as a kid, and we would go. And even as I got older, and she was really good, I liked to go and watch her play, so we would travel to different cities and watch. But the grind, and just now it has become where I can go by a local field, and it doesn't matter the day, doesn't matter the weather, they're constantly playing. You see kids get burned out. Mm-hmm. Talk about your growth as a player, even from youth into where you are now. And how much of that was involved with was it year-round for you?
Year-round. So I grew up with 2 older sisters that played softball too. So when I say I was around softball all the time, I was. And I played for the Birmingham Thunderbolts, which is, in my opinion, one of the best travel ball organizations.
Very familiar with that outfit.
Yes. I joined them in 8U, and so they have local practices. And when I was 8 years old, I would be practicing with 18-year-olds. That's 3 times a week, 4 hours a day. So it was no joke. And then summer would come around, and you're gone the whole summer. And I'd say it's probably about middle school, which is really early, but you have to actually buy in. And you're like, okay, is this what I want to do in my future? Because if not, you have to give up a lot of stuff outside of softball. When I say my past 2 last summer travel balls, I think I had 8 off days.
Wow.
And, I have to give up beach trips and stuff with my friends, but it's like, is this what I want to do? And it was. So it's just kind of making the decision, if you want to buy in, this is what you're going to do. And if not, then go play at a lower level.
So you play your freshman campaign, and there's a coaching change. You don't have any idea. There had to have been just a lot of anxiety for you and some of your teammates because you have no idea who this guy's going to hire. Mm-hmm. How did that go before you got introduced to your new head coach?
It was, I don't know, it's kind of, things. We were hearing things all throughout the summer. And then when Coach Darty left, I loved Darty. He was a great coach. But when he left, it was kind of like, okay, now we got to figure out, what is the next step? Because it was a very late thing, transfer portal already closed. And I went and talked to Dan like right after Doherty left, and I was like, all right, what's the plan? Like, and then he couldn't tell me anything clearly, but just through softball rumors, like I heard some names and stuff, and T. Smartt was one of the names, and I remember I told Dan, I was like, look, I don't know if none of this is true or not, but if T. Smartt can get that job, let's get her the job. I've heard good things about her, and when I played her at FAU, and I loved her, I loved the coaching staff there, I liked playing them. So I was like, if she gets the opportunity, let's try and give it to her.
What did you said T. Smartt. What was kind of the lowdown on T. Smartt, what you had heard?
That she's just like, my dad calls her a firecracker. And I never really have talked to her like much, but I knew of her, and I knew that she was just loved being out there. You could tell when we played her that the girls just like laughed with her and stuff, and I love that as a player-coach connection. And so seeing that at FAU, and I was like, we could have that here.
Talk about the offseason, though. And she said that we're going to have fun. We're going to love on you. I'm going to be right there with you, but we're going to work hard because there it is. There's just no way to replace that. By all great teams, championship teams, there has to be that buy-in and working hard. What does that look like in Coach Smart's program?
She's told us a lot over the fall that you're a lot stronger than you think you are. That's on the field stuff and off the field, and we have got pushed so much harder than I think we thought we could. You know, we're a team that we kind of let down a little bit, but she's shown us, like, you can keep going. And some of the stuff that we've done, like, I could not imagine us having to do it. Like, last year, like, I don't think we would have made it through. But she's shown us that we can do hard things, and that's off the field stuff. I think we've done a lot more off the field stuff, but it translates on the field. So that's why I'm really excited to see this season. Like, last year we lost a lot of late inning ball games. So like she was saying, I'm excited to see how many ball games we can finish this year.
You're a utility player. Is there a defensive position you would just say, you know what, I'm good? Because if it was me, I'm not playing the hot corner. There is no way, and you know where, I'm playing third base in fast pitch softball, and then you're cheating in, and you're not even with the bag, and some kid is about to take your head off. Is it like that for you, or you just
third base, no shot? I remember I got put there in the fall one time. I don't remember. Lindsey Smith was up to bat. Man, she can kill the ball, and I was like behind the plate, and I think Coach, and she hit me a ground ball. I knew the ball was going to come to me, of course, and I like jumped out of the way of it. And Coach Smartt was like, "You know how to field a ground ball," and I was like, and even though shortstop's not that far from third, that ball came in hot, and
it's twice the distance, I'll bet, or maybe not twice, but it's a lot farther.
Yeah.
I mean, the distance to your position.
It made a huge difference. I was like, it's not the same, trust me. It's not the same.
That's not a ground ball. That's a bullet.
Oh, that is that's a bullet. And that's one that it could change just, I've got to think about my future. Really,
you're not wrong.
I mean, it's the truth. And I'm watching some of these games, and I'm like, no, stop. Don't come any closer. Don't come any closer. She's not going to lay one down. The slap hitting, is that still prevalent in college softball with a slap?
I believe so. For me, I still do it. I think I call slapping my safe zone, kind of. It's just I've done it my whole life, and it's just something I don't forget how to do it. Sometimes you can get in your head about your swing, but I try to just not think about slapping too much. So we try not to work on slapping too much because it's just something I go out there and do. Like, I think I more often put the ball in play slapping. That's how it is for me, at least. But I think it's grown a lot in the sport, too, because you have to have a whole new defense when a slapper comes up. You have to change how you do it. And if a slapper can put the ball on the ground, bunt the ball, it's hard to read. So I think it's really...
I was about to say, with Hannah, one of the things, obviously, is she's going to be definitely more of a triple threat. She can bunt, she can slap, and she's been able to get more power in her and for hitting. And obviously, she did that last year as well. But I think that's something that's going to keep helping her as she goes into her sophomore campaign, is just you don't know what they're going to do. As a slapper that can hit, she can do all of it. So as a defense, you don't exactly know how you could play her. Say she hits a ball hard, and so they play her back. The next at bat, she could lay down a bunt, she could soft slap it, and because she's fast, she still could beat it out, which allows you to kind of open up what you can do, and then allows her to read the defense based on what they give her.
Where in the batting order can we expect her?
Top of the lineup.
Top of the lineup. Yeah, I see it.
Get things going, create chaos, and that's ultimately what she did in the fall for us. And her and Bella Wiggins and Auburn, they're all kind of similar in that aspect, and so they can kind of allow each other to all be great because they do similar things.
Yeah.
And they're all fast, and so they can have a chance to beat things out and set based on what the defense gives them, then can allow them to kind of read that and
get some speed on the base.
Yeah, and then kind of figure that out from there.
Are you looking forward to Coach maybe breaking out in full uniform? What would you do? Would that weird you guys out?
I would hype her up at first, but then before the home plate
Then
meeting,
you start
I would be
talking.
like, all right, are we going to change it?
She gonna leave that on.
We've got to
wear
get
that the
this
whole
going.
game.
We've got to do this. This is something that originated here on the Inferno podcast, and I feel like one game a year it can be the Coach Smartt uniform game.
You guys will be in the dugout like, she's not going to wear that the whole time, is she?
I'd be like, you got to change.
And I'd be like, bet
Put
I
some
won't.
sweats on.
she
I guarantee
She said she
you.
wouldn't change.
I have known Coach Smartt for
That's
about,
funny.
35 minutes now. I'm betting everything that she absolutely would do it.
Boy, that'd be good.
100% she would. That's the scary thing. She would.
Better show up if you want to be at the game. You better show up.
That's exactly right. All right, Hannah, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to get these other folks out of here, and we're going to do something called the lightning round, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. You going to stick around?
I am.
All right, the Inferno podcast. We continue.
Trent Dilfer here, head football coach of the UAB Blazers. I want to tell you about my friends at Legacy Credit Union. Legacy began as University Credit Union in 1955 and remains committed to UAB faculty, students, alumni, and fans. Not only do they support the Birmingham community, but they are also proud sponsors of UAB and UAB athletics. Visit legacycreditunion.com and find out why you should become a member today.
Welcome back into the Inferno podcast. It's time for our lightning round. Utility player, star, just model citizen. Hannah Dorsett of UAB softball continues to join us. Everything okay? You feel good now?
I do.
You feel a little bit more relaxed? Coach Smartt actually doesn't feel like that kind of coach that's going to make you feel uneasy.
Oh, no. She's easygoing, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, this is called the lightning round. Most of our student athletes that have joined us here on the podcast, they have done really, really well at this. Yeah. Not everybody does. This might not be your cup of tea, but you strike me as a competitor and you want to do really, really well. Okay. All right, you ready to go? Mm-hmm. All right, this is just some basic things. All right, we start it now. What is your best New Year's resolution?
More water.
More water?
Drinking more water.
Drinking more water. Okay. That's always good. I saw a study that says drinking more water. There's a study that says it helps you to live longer.
Yeah.
I would think that's probably the case. I need to probably drink more water. I drink a lot of caffeine diet drinks.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut that stuff out.
And they're from our friends at Pepsi, and I love them, but I probably need to consume a little bit more water too to take a break. All right, what is one goal you had for 2024 that you actually accomplished?
Softball-wise or just?
Anything.
Oh gosh, that's a good one. Probably just, I don't even know.
Batting over 300?
I'm trying to think of
Fielding
like
960?
anything. Softball-wise, probably just being
You can
comfortable.
toot your own horn. It's fine.
Just like kind of being like in the moment more often.
Yeah.
Softball-wise and just in general.
Being in the moment.
Yeah.
Appreciating things.
I think
as
I
they
did
come.
pretty
Yeah,
well with
smelling
that.
the roses, as I say. Yeah, I get it. Okay, here's some pop culture trivia. Are you ready for it? Did you ever watch Friends, the TV show?
I
You
did
didn't? That's so funny. All right. How about this? Which artist released the album Lemonade? Which artist? Pop artist. Music.
All I'm thinking is the Disney show Lemonade Mouth.
Okay. Well, it would be Beyonce.
Okay.
Okay. Which TV show ends by suddenly cutting to black? It was on HBO for a long time. It was a series.
I couldn't even tell you. Grey's Anatomy? I don't
No, Grey's Anatomy. No, it was actually The Sopranos.
I've never even heard of that.
You never heard of The Sopranos? Okay. Let's go back to the 60s. Did you ever watch like TV shows that were reruns on like TV Land or anything like that? There was a family. There were 3 girls and there were 3 boys. And the mom and the dad, the mom of the girls, married the dad who had the 3 boys. And they became a family together. Do you remember what that was called?
No.
The Brady Bunch.
Okay, I've heard of that
Okay,
one.
you've heard
I've
of the
heard
Brady
of that
Bunch.
one.
What are your favorite TV shows?
I do like Grey's Anatomy. I don't know why I said it ended on a black screen because it's still going. Grey's Anatomy, and then I'm a big like reality TV show, so like The Bachelor,
You're one of those.
Dancing with the Stars. Yeah.
Who was one of your favorite contestants on Dancing with the Stars? ever?
This year was Joey. He was the Bachelor, so I had a little connection with my favorite shows there.
Okay. All right. This is going to go lightning round. So this is going to be about you, and there's no wrong answers. It's just I'll give you a this or this, and you say this. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird.
Cook yourself or take out?
Take out.
Night out or a night in?
Night out.
Night out. What does that look? You don't even answer that. Most hated chore growing up, or what you have to do now?
Dishes.
Dishes?
No, I made my sisters do them.
Really?
I was like, I will clean the whole house if you do the dishes.
Did you have a dishwasher, or did you just have?
We had a dishwasher, but I just didn't want to touch them or anything.
Whatever. Well, you're gonna have to do it.
I've grown into it with my apartment, but
okay. Don't have a bunch of nasty dishes. Sitting
I
around.
don't.
That's
I
gross.
don't.
That is ugh.
I definitely don't.
All right. Favorite family memory?
Probably we take a Gatlinburg trip every we've done it for the past 10 years. We didn't this year, but just spending time with family in Gatlinburg.
All right. There's some softball questions for you. Rise ball or drop ball?
Hitting it, probably a drop ball. I don't like the rise balls now.
Okay. Steal or turn a double play?
Ooh, that turn double play.
Okay. Batter's box or being in the field?
Last year I would have said being in the field, but I'm gonna say batter's box.
Okay. Favorite walk-up song in high school and now?
Unpopular opinion, I could care less to have a walkout song. I could walk up there, no music, or I'll let my teammate pick it from me. I don't care.
Maybe do that.
Really?
Yeah. Or how about this? Just given what we just learned on this show, I say you either have the walk-up song of the Friends theme song or the Brady Bunch.
I wouldn't know, so.
I think that would be actually really cool. Favorite sport to watch on TV?
Besides softball, I like watching baseball.
Okay. Favorite pro team?
The Fairlife drinks, the 26-gram vanilla.
Oh, I'm sorry. You thought I said protein drink, but that's good.
Oh.
Protein, professional sports team.
Baseball would be the Dodgers.
What is wrong with you? Why? You don't like the Braves?
I do like the Braves, but I just.
Good gosh.
I went to the Braves-Dodgers game this past year.
That'll be the end of our questions.
Who won the World Series?
I know who won. Do you know how many? Well, Braves have done it too, but man, the Dodgers really, Hannah?
I'm a Freeman. I like Freddie Freeman.
Oh, of course you do, and those veneer teeth. All right. Favorite sport to go watch in person?
Softball.
Yeah, of course. If it wasn't softball.
Probably football.
Yeah, that's a good one. Favorite athlete?
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, she good.
Yeah, she is.
She's yeah. To be honest with you, I didn't watch hardly any WNBA ever. I'll watch it now, a little bit. Caitlin Clark, she can shoot it.
Yes,
me and Coach Randy Norton, we talked about it. She's incredible. All right, and the league with the most drama. We might have just talked about it, but what league has the most drama? Professional sports league.
Probably WNBA.
Yeah. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. That was fun to watch in 2024. You were a lot of fun to watch last season. We look forward to a lot of exciting things. Hannah Dorsett, UAB. Anything you want to tell UAB fans? We're excited about watching you on the diamond this year.
Yeah, no. I hope everybody can come out to Mary Bowers and watch us this year and go Blazers.
All right, walk-up song. You got to do it, though. Do the Friends. Do the Friends.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Yeah, I'll think about it.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
Hannah Dorsett, Inferno Podcast. We continue.
The if in life. It's a world of possibilities. If you go for a night out with friends. If you can keep an eye on your money along the way. If you know you have overdraft protection with no fee transfers from savings. When you get a low balance alert, it's easier to say yes to fun. If that sounds good, try Regions Life Banking.
Stay ready for the if in life. Regions Bank embrace the if in life.
Well, that's going to do it for episode 20 of the Inferno Podcast. We appreciate all of you watching, consuming this podcast each and every week. We always invite you to not only join us, watch, listen, but subscribe and share to your friends as we keep this thing rolling along in 2025. A lot of exciting things. You go to UABsports.com for all of the latest and join us here on the Inferno every single week. For all of our guests, UAB Athletics Director Mark Ingram, UAB softball coach Taylor Smartt, and Hannah Dorsett, one of the future stars of the Blazers. I'm Landrum Roberts. Thanks for joining us here in the Inferno. This is the Inferno Podcast, the official podcast of UAB Athletics. Blazer fans, this is the place each week to get an inside look into UAB Athletics. This episode of the Inferno Podcast is brought to you by the Alabama Department of Public Health and Pearl River Resort.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.